can you see the slide?
Yeah, doctor.
Yes, you can.
Okay, the topic for today's sharing is new norm, where I will share about new social living during COVID-19 among the resident in the low-cost housing in Selangor. And the presentation is categorized into three categories, which encompasses of the introduction of the research, green infrastructure, which become the main subject for this research, as well as the research findings. As mentioned earlier, this presentation is actually partial findings from a whole lot uh, analysis and survey gathered from a project which is sponsored by Selangor State Government, that is under Expo of Housing and Urban Living, with the major subject focusing on the green infrastructure design guideline development for low-cost housing area in Selangor. While the timeline of the growing pandemic of COVID-19 being uncertain, this session aims to reveal the situation of social life in the low-cost housing area in Selangor by examining residents' daily transaction with social equity, which also include the green infrastructure in their settlement. And at the end of this research, it is hope the state government is hoping that the research could achieve the three aims in social sustainable development goal, which is first, it is hoped that this research can assist in ensuring healthy life as well as promoting well-being for all at all ages, especially in the low-cost housing area. And the research is also aimed at making cities and human settlement an inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable area. And finally, the research is hoping to promote peaceful, inclusive society for sustainable development that provide access of justice for all by building an effective, accountable, and inclusive institution at all levels. For your information, this project is also collaborated with 5 public universities in Selangor, okay, where the students are involved in designing as well as developing a communal spaces that had been chosen by the resident in the low-cost housing area across Selangor. Okay, so what is the current situation is actually we are experiencing a new norm, which we live in, we deal with the urban living in the changing cities. As we all know, cities are always changing. Cities have always demonstrated gradual piecemeal change through the accretion, addition, and demolition. But during the pandemic break, we are actually dealing with such an unprecedented situation. And visually, the evidence of a fundamental transformation so far with regard to urbanization, we are dealing with a process that is compelling, where the sign of significance change are apparent in many ways. especially the urban landscape, and not standing a city like Kuala Lumpur. And while the sign of significant change have been in terms of the extensive redevelopment by the upgrading of inner city neighborhood by the high to middle class professionals who live in the city center, with the mushrooming of brand new town and settlement relocation, which saw the emergence of green infrastructure, which is of biophilic and high-end design. I heard that Kalimantan also will be experiencing this new type high-end development. Okay, and such reformation have actually attracted many green development recognized by scholars, which are reporting that these types of biophilic development would benefit many peoples in terms of wellness, quality of life, and so on. Okay, so this is actually the image of green infrastructure. Green infrastructure means a series of infrastructure which is in the form of open spaces, pocket park, green corridors, open field, recreational areas, and lot more. And it is many scholars have supported that such activities, all the activities conducted in the green infrastructures area will um, will lead to a better social qualities such as strong sense of place, greater sense of attachment among communities. Okay. Hypothetically, such changes can be regarded as largely cosmetic, and the underlying process of urbanization, while the overall structure of the city remain unaltered. And in the same breath, the sign of significant change have also seen in the form of the extensive emergence of large area of poverty and degradation of slum and low-cost housing district. And drawing to this situation, the government initiated a reformation plan, which is called Zero Squatter by year 2005. The plan was initiated by the government way back in 1996, with the policy implemented in the whole Malaysia with a 4-tier pricing system on the public housing known as PPR, Project Perumahan Rakyat, in major cities and towns for the resettlement of squatters and slum in the major city in Malaysia, which include Selangor. The project has been implemented in order to ensure its citizens, particularly lower income group, to continue enjoying the benefit of adequate, affordable, and quality housing. However, the huge investment in the reformation program seems to yield constructive comment by the Human Rights Commission of Malaysia, where they criticized that Malaysian government only carry out official planning and implementation of the low-cost housing scheme for the poor, but they failed to address the issues related to habitability, suitability, defect, and shoddy workmanship, lack of maintenance and physical safety of the occupant in many low-cost housing across the country. Issues relate to the issues which relate to habitability also include social life, for which social equities like green infrastructure plays a very important role. And paradoxically, such green and biophilic development seems to have continued to fall short among the low-income resident settlement. Complaints received by the Public Complaint Bureau show that low level of physical and recreational activities are more prevalent among lower income, less educated, and unemployed population compared to higher income individuals. And today, as we are facing and experiencing such a unprecedented situation where the world is facing a global public health crisis as the coronavirus disease or COVID-19 emerged as a menacing pandemic. We are shocked by the emergence of this unprecedented scenario, which resulted to accelerated new and distinctly different social living in many types of settlement. Besides the rising numbers of cases and fatalities with this pandemic, there has also been significant socio-economic, political, as well as social impact. Billions of people all around the world are quarantined in their own home as nations have locked down to implement social distancing as a measure to contain the spread of this infection. Okay, and this social isolation is also said to lead to chronic loneliness, boredom, which if long enough can have detrimental effect on physical and mental well-being of many urban residents. And while the timelines of the growing pandemic being uncertain, apart from loneliness, the isolation is compounded by mass panic and anxiety, which cause to physical and psychological decline. Therefore, this research aims to find the answer for the following inquiries. Okay, the inquiries are: what happened to the people in the low-cost housing area? Are they affected by this pandemic? And how does, with the limitation of social equities provided at their settlement, can they survive? And how does they conduct their social activities among neighbors and friends? Okay, and an important social threat of a pandemic to the underprivileged group who live within an inadequate social equity, which include the green infrastructure, is seen often neglected. Therefore, we would like to, we conducted a study during this pandemic break to know how badly this community are affected during the MCO or the movement control order period. So for today's session, I will only share with you the most interesting findings, because while the remaining 16 areas, while the remaining 16 areas reported to be badly affected in terms of physical and psychological decline, this area, which I will present to you later on, a reported contradictory. Okay, the site is located in the middle of the city center, where 18 stories flat of the low cost consists of 525 units, accommodating more than 1,500 people in one single block. This block is located 25 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur city center and was built as from the relocation project of a slum area in Kuala Lumpur. So this is the area. Okay, this is the single block, which consists or encompasses of 1,500 residents. The findings, which were gathered from a survey questionnaire with distributed to 500 residents, and as well as an interview with the representative of the resident, together with around more than 20 residents. The finding showed that majority of the respondents were graduated from secondary school, almost half of the respondents, followed by higher education graduates, with both category of respondents reported to have a basic knowledge on their environment. However, it was also reported that 6.2% of respondents aged 40 and above did not receive formal education. And the highest proportion of respondents were employed in the private sector, followed by self-employed, with the lowest number of respondents were unemployed, consist of students, and 6% of the respondents were in government service, and the rest were housewives, part-time workers, and students. And it was also reported from the finding that almost half of the respondents were affected social and economically during the pandemic, where half of them experiencing salary cutting, okay, being terminated by their employee, okay, and the majority of respondents between age of 30 and 45 are 60% from the total resident. This indicates that most of the respondents are still employed, but 40 to 60 are unemployed during the pandemic. Okay. The highest percentage of income is reported to range from the highest number or the percentage of the residents who live in this low-cost housing area is ranging from 1,000 to 2,000. Okay, the majority of the residents earn around 1,000 to 200,000 ringgit, which is equivalent to 3 million rupee, 3 million up until 6 million rupiah, and followed by 2,000 up until 3,000, 30% of them, and 15 percent of the respondent received below 1,000 ringgit, which in Malaysia is categorized, this group of people is categorized as low income group. Okay, when we conducted the inventory, can you just imagine for 1,500 people, which also include kids, elderly, the women, okay, who are mothers, fathers, they only have 2 open spaces. These small open spaces available or being offered before this. Okay, at your left hand side is the concrete shelter. Okay, built for the resident to socialize, sitting, chatting during in the evening. Okay, however, the resident reported that even though the condition is not to their expectation, but the brick shelter is fully utilized from morning until night, and the usage is interchangeably among different group of residents. Early in the morning, there will because this brick this concrete shelter is located next to a kindergarten. So early in the morning, all the kids will sit together under this shelter to eat with their friends. And in the afternoon, there will be group of elderly sitting together, chatting and spending their leisure activities here. And at night, this concrete shelter will be used by the youngsters to fix their motorcycle, to fix their bicycle while chatting and socializing. And for your information, again, for 1,500 residents who live in this area, with the numbers of kids bring about 30% of the whole resident, this area at your right hand side is the only open space for the children to play. Okay, there are actually several open spaces provided by the developer. However, most of the courtyard spaces have been used to accommodate motorcycles. Okay, motorcycles. So the children got no space to play. The only area for the children to play is in front of the lobby. Okay, at behind the staircase is the lift lobby. Okay, this is uh, another space used by the resident to socialize. Can you just imagine 1,500 people are using this area day to day? Okay, and during the pandemic, okay, during the movement control order, it seems that everybody still encounter their daily life as normal. Okay, where they used to sit in front of the lift lobby, okay, and then sitting in front of the lift lobby, while the kids, since the kids are restricted to go downstairs, so the only space available for them is the corridor as well as the mini lobby at each level in front of the lift. Okay, at your far at your left hand side, the far end is where uh, the staircase rest area, and that is the place for the kids to do their homework. Okay, to do their homework and play in front of the lift lobby, as well as along the corridor. Okay, the corridor is very narrow, so this is the only open spaces available for the kids to play. Okay, beside that, these are the meeting area for the resident who reside in this low cost housing. Okay, this 18 stories low cost housing. The mini mart, recycling center, okay, and a shelter uh, constructed by the resident, okay, and also a small kiosk. The parking lot, surprisingly, the parking lot is also part of their social space. And lastly is in front of the lift, lift lobby. So that's why they provided sitting here in front of while waiting for the lift to uh, come down. So they will sit along the lobby and talk to their neighbors. Okay, and when we ask, because since this area got no open spaces at all, only two as shown just now, the concrete shelter, as well as a small triangle uh, play area for the kids. So when we ask them what are the most public spaces they prefer to have in their settlement, 89% reported or choose football field. They said how we wish to have football field, and then followed by 70% of the resident, they choose recreational area, because you can see they don't have recreational area. Okay, and followed by pocket garden, 64%, spaces between buildings, 62%, green corridor, 47%, urban farm, 28%, social spaces, 17%, green small space, 6%, main mid corridor, 4%. And okay, based on 8 determinants of green infrastructure and activities conducted at the study area, it seems that majority of the resident choose or show their satisfaction on waste recycling activities or program introduced by the state government to them. Do you know why it is so? Because the waste recycling activities or program offered very interesting activities where the kids are encouraged to collect all uh, the um, the the waste, the domestic waste, and they were asked to separate them into plastic, aluminium, paper, and then they go all these children go to downstairs at the waste recycling center to upon the collection, they will give to the person in charge, and the person who handling the recycling center will pay back to the kids uh, by a coupon, where the coupon can be used by the kids to buy food at at the nearby minimart. Okay, so since they don't have, as I said, and you all aware that they don't have any area or space to conduct recreational activities. The only space and activities they have is waste recycling center. So uh, that's why they are very happy with whatever they have and exercising at the moment. And but sadly, because they don't have any green and public space available, so the level of satisfaction here with regard to green public space is very low. However, when we survey or measure 6 determinants uh, on the factors which make them uh, um, a good a good a good neighborhood. uh, they reported, okay, the findings show, even though without public space and without green infrastructure, they have such a strong sense of community. And but it was also reported that however, they are very scared and feel worry on the around 15 units of empty units located scattered around the building. Okay. And when we ask or measure about transportation network, they reported in terms of road safety is just an average, and the most concern goes to street network and signages, which they considered as poorly arranged and poorly located. And in terms of accessibility, they are really satisfied with the accessibility, even though, for your information, there is no pedestrian walkway constructed nearby where they need to walk together with all the vehicles. But since it is easily accessed and well connected uh, from their residential area to other facilities, therefore they said it is they can still uh, cooperate with that. But in terms of pedestrian safety, since they need to walk together with other transport like motorcycle, buses, cars, so they considered the pedestrian safety is still low. Okay, this is the result from an interview conducted, a simple interview, random interview conducted with 81 residents. Okay, when we asked them, despite of the limitation faced by the resident, uh, just write down a simple remark on how can you represent your 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 living area. I mean your residential area, And it come to my surprise where 53 of them said they are very happy with the current situation, and 20 of the respondents said they are very proud living in this area despite of such limitation reported on green infrastructure availability. And only 8 are not sure with their feelings. And when we do the content analysis on these responses, we discovered 40 people said their neighbors are very caring. They are also very responsible, respectful, warm and friendly, very cooperative, accommodating. They love each other, and 100% concluded that kindness is the key values or the key quality, underlying quality that bind the relationship. Humbleness, supportive, proactive, okay, are among the qualities possessed by each of the resident in Lembah Jaya, in the study area. Why it is so? The research shows that activities that fostered good spirit and strong bond seems to present in each public venues in this area. Even it is such a small as recycling center, lift lobby, mini mart, musalla, and the concrete shelter which I showed to you earlier on, have actually supported the act of interactive social exercises and fostered the spirit of helping each other in holding their daily activities. This has actuated a closer relationship among the residents. And the provision of recycling center we check as a node where the resident can collect their recycled domestic waste and then compensated with coupon where they can redeem with food or seen as a center for social prosperity for these low income group people. And the only brick shelter at the far end showed to you earlier also play bigger roles as major nodes that act as a cooking area for the women, that help to improve the social well-being, personal satisfaction during gathering, which lessen social imbalance uh, and enhance their community pride. And in terms of safety, the unseparated route, of course, increased the number of conflict between pedestrian and vehicles on the street. An increase in pedestrian vehicle dispute resulted in a bigger amount of traffic collision. Thus, pedestrians cannot move freely within the neighborhood street. In addition, neighborhood also take into account of the condition of quite a numbers of abandoned houses inside this unit. Abandoned houses are a worry for the resident because vacant lot and building potentially offer refuge to criminal and other illegal activities. And based on the result revealed, the function of even a very limited public space still act as a place for social interaction, whereby residents discovered at every intersection engage in various activities like chatting, cooking, changing goods, selling and buying. For your information, due to the closeness and a good bonding between the community, the representative of the representative managed to collect around 10,000 ringgit to be distributed to the underprivileged residents who had been terminated and lost their job. Okay, during the COVID-19 movement control order. Okay, this is mainly due to the form and all these activities. The study revealed that all due to the former strategic location, such as the mini lift lobby. Everybody are using lobby, now a lift to go upstairs and go downstairs. Therefore, there are numbers of uh, transaction as well as meeting occurred daily basis. Okay. And even though there is no recreational facilities available at the area, uh, the small concrete shelter fulfill the needs of every resident, and being the only designated public space for them has made the concrete shelter incomparable, as it serves more than single group with multiple purposes. This suggests that consistent interaction held at series of small spaces are actually the pleasant qualities to create a good neighborhood and a variety of fun living spaces. Hence, indirectly, the good public spaces offer in strengthening the relationship among residents, with the important factors are physical, the visual power of place, location, security, and accessibility influence social interaction in the open space. Okay, the result is concordant with and in line with many other literatures, which, in their opinion, open accessibility is an important factor in improving the quality of social interaction. And the strategic location of the open space chosen by the resident, like near the main lobby, along the corridor, near the recycle center, the result of this, the character of these nodes are also in line with many other research which shows that good open space should be located in the neighborhood which is can be easily accessed and also supervised by the public eyes. In conclusion, the study found that possibility of meeting neighbors and friends often in connection with daily coming and going in the study areas. This implies a valuable opportunity to establish and maintain acquaintances in a relaxed and undemanding way even during the movement control order. And such simple social events continue to evolve spontaneously, and these situations are allowed to develop even during the pandemic break. Visits and gathering can still be arranged on short notice when the mood dictates, as it is equally easy to drop by or look in or to agree in front of the lift lobby or during climbing up the staircase. Even with several limitations reported by the resident with regard to the green infrastructure availability in their residential area, frequent meeting in connection with daily activities do increase the community attachment that is maintained in a far simpler and less demanding way. The study has found that actually people use open space for social interaction, and they actually do not they do not really concern about the design of the space, as to them experiencing other people represents a particular colorful, meaningful and attractive opportunity for their physical health development as well as psychological stimulation. Okay, the responses, okay, um, gathered from this research is actually uh, n- has uh, has not very much is actually not very much different with a study conducted with UIN way back in 2015, where me and Prof. Ismail and with my other colleagues, with several colleagues from Green Innovation, we conducted a study titled Child Friendly Cities um, by uh, involving the underprivileged student in Makassar city. Okay, can you see the photo here? The photo of the children. Okay, these are the children who live in the low cost housing area in Makassar city, and at the back are their playground. When we ask them what are the physical elements that they want us to demolish or for us to construct new one, they said they just want a playground at um, at one side. And when we ask them, shall we cut down this banana tree, they said no, we want the banana tree because the banana tree area is the place where we play hide and seek. So uh, for me, the the low income group people really show us that uh, a high end or expensive design doesn't bring you happiness. Okay, with that, I thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Norzalina, for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. Dear participants, now we come to question and answer session. I'd like to have two questions from the participants, please. You can introduce yourself on the by telling us your full name, organization, and country.
Hello, Dr. Zalina, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
uh, Ma'am, I am Mohammad Sipten Kadri from Bhartidasan University of Tamil Nadu in India, and I am an environmental science and technology student presently in the fourth semester. And then I was very blessed to have, Indonesian seminar organized by this universities of Muhammadiyah, and it was a nice presentation by you, since we are also dealing with sustainability, and it is a very important issue to be discussed by you. And now I have one question for you, that is, like, how this traditional people of Indonesia or whatsoever country, other than this urban settlements, how these peoples are having that, as you said, they have more awareness than the urban people. So are they more aware about the COVID-19 in the uh, settlement area?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, to answer your question, thank you for the question, Siptain. For your information, yes, they are aware because as you said, as I mentioned to you, most of the project, most of the program and activities at the low-cost housing area, or even the traditional village located in Selangor, are fully monitored by Exco of Housing and Urban Living, where once in a while the representative of the Board of Housing and Real Estate will go like a weekly basis to promote and instill awareness on the danger of COVID-19, the danger of the pandemic. And for your information, the Malaysian government also have a regular session which uh, which can be easily uh, obtained from television and radio on the current situation with regard to COVID-19 cases daily basis. They are aware because they are very well aware about the danger and the situation because um, this community is monitored by the Exco of Housing and Urban Living in Selangor.
In our India also, ma'am, like we have tribal people in some, some rural areas in which I saw, it was shocking for me to see one of the lady, she came to sell the vegetables wearing mask. She was completely tribal and traditional one. And I was shocked. I was asking her, why you are wearing this mask? How come you know about COVID-19? She doesn't speak English and she has her own slang. We have thousand of slang in India because it's a vast country again. So I was asking her, and then she was like, no, it's because of the disease which I have to protect myself, and I have to see to it that whatever I am giving, whatever food I am giving to you, it should be safe, and it should be, that kind of awareness this traditional woman in our India have. But I feel somewhat the urban people, no, they are irresponsible for this thing. So what has to be done for the, to spread the awareness among this, to sensitize this urban people, because they are not, they are not interested in protecting themselves from the disease. They just roam here and there, and whatever they want they will do. But the village people will, they will take care, they will be more attentive towards the disease.
Okay, Dr. Zalina, I think.
Can I help you to answer that?
Sorry,
Yes.
yes, Prof.
In Malaysia, the policemen are strict, very strict. So many urban dwellers, urban residents that live in Kuala Lumpur, such as the place that Dr. Zalina doing her study, they are strict. Therefore, they follow orders. Therefore, many people are be compounded, giving penalty if they don't follow orders. So we follow orders well in Malaysia. Therefore, our situations now, we have almost zero new cases. Almost zero new cases. Because we follow orders. So I think that is the thing. So now I think we need to go back to the matter on open accessibility, social coherence. So we don't compare with your concern on the rural people. Can we go back to the urban situation? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question from other participants?
They can ask via chat, right?
Yes, I already actually we already write it in the group chat, so you can also write it through the chat, and I will read your questions, or you also can say your question loud here. There any more questions?
I hope the presentation is clear and can be understood easily.
Yeah. Okay. While waiting, can I ask you question, Dr. Zalina? What
Sure,
about the
sure, sure.
yeah? What about the situation where the COVID-19 is still in the area? Is there any differences? The social living in the area before and after the COVID-19 in relation with the public spaces?
Um, no, there are no um, huge differences, but um, we can we can see a lot of people are starting to wear a mask and exercise the social distancing. Okay, in terms of and some of the public spaces also receive a service for disinfecting services like musalla. Okay, because
Yeah.
start from this week we are allowed to use the musalla again. Okay.
Okay, Dr. Zalina, there is a question from Haikal Ahram. When did you
Mhm.
undergo this research? How many victims who got COVID-19 in Malaysia or specifically in Selangor?
Pardon?
When did you undergo this research? And
Hmm?
how many victims got COVID-19 in Malaysia?
Okay. In Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken, it is around 7,000 and involve 115 death cases. And in Selangor seems to be the to receive the highest number of cases, which around 3,000 cases. But none of the victim or the patient is from the case study area. Okay, but in terms of the period of the research, we conducted the research from March and still ongoing. It is still ongoing. The research is commenced to be ended some way in December to 2020. So it is still ongoing. So that's why I said the main focus for this research is for the development of green infrastructure design guideline for the lower cost housing area. But today's session is just a partial uh, um, result. But because I think it would be very good for me to share on the real needs of what makes a good public spaces. Okay, what are the factors that make good public spaces? And as it there's no need for us to have a very extravagant
Public
vaganza
space.
design, but the most important thing is to have a functional design.
Yeah. Okay. There's another question from Mr. Andi Ahmad. Based on the result, it is indicated that although the public spaces that they already have is not in the ideal condition, however, the social interaction is still great, and like they feel okay about it. So, what is the fact? the factor do you think triggered the result? Is it because they have similar social background or similar economic background?
Yes, I think both factors are also can play bigger roles because they have perhaps they shared similar problems, they shared similar experiences. Okay, both factors mentioned by the participant can also play bigger roles in determining the level of the social bonding among community in that particular area. Yes, I do agree.
Okay. We have another question from Fakih Tamami. This is one of my students. How about
Okay.
the logistic in Malaysia? Is it have an impact for the community in Malaysia, especially in the low cost housing area?
Yeah, as been mentioned to you, um, um, during during uh, during the survey, we managed to interview the local management body and resident representative. Both uh, both parties reported that in terms of economy, socio-economic, around 30 to 40 residents are badly affected. They are affected economically, where some of them receive half salary, and some of them who work on their own uh, receive zero income for especially during the first month of the movement control order. But Alhamdulillah, the state government play a very proactive uh, roles where they did a very quick survey on to those who are affected, and quickly during the second week of the MCO, uh, more and more more helps in terms of food supply, medicinal supply have been distributed to all the affected area and resident. Because in the survey questionnaire, we also asked what kind of assistance provided or received by your family, be it from the non-government organization or the state government, and majority of the affected family mentioned they did receive many uh, uh, helps in terms of what in terms of the assistance that I mentioned. Alhamdulillah.
Dr. Zalina, I think there are two participants want to ask you directly from Mr. Budi and Ainun.
Sure.
Mr. Budi or Ainun, do you have any questions?
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was a very interesting presentation from Dr. Jalina. Thank you so much. And then my name is Ainun Hasana. I am Indonesian and currently living in China. And I want to ask about, is there any facilities that provided to support people in low-cost housing in Selangor, such as disinfectant or hand sanitizing, hand washing room or something like that, or before they come or go to the housing place, is there any place to check their temperature or something like that? Because as I experience in China, I'm living in the apartment, school dormitory, and then everyone before come and go should check their temperature or something like that to prevent the spread of coronavirus. That's all my questions. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Ainun.
Okay, for the case of Malaysia, there is no specific process, or there's no specific SOP for residential area, except when the area is designated or reported to have a case, even a single case. So the health ministry will send their representative to do the disinfectant, as well as giving a more restricted order. Okay, some of the residential area which is with even single case, they will start do closer monitoring. But for an area without cases, they just make sure that the SOP is adhered by the shop operators. And for your information, the education sector is still closed. So the only public congressional area is still the commercial premises. So the commercial premises is requested to adhere all the SOP during COVID-19.
Okay.
In terms of supply or subsidize in terms of hand sanitizer, as far as I'm concerned, the only subsidies is for the hospital staff, but for the resident, the government supplied free face mask. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Zalina, we also have another question from Anita Dianingrum from Universitas 11 Maret Surakarta. So the question is there any people or community that suspect or positive for COVID-19 in the research area in the low-cost housing environment? And if there are any positive suspect, what the people did to avoid the spread of the coronavirus?
Oh, as I mentioned just now, there will be a strict order. In some cases where it is involved more than more than single case, so the area will be monitored by the army. It will be compounded all around the area and be monitored by the army. And the food supply, where the resident cannot go out from their residential area, and the government will assist them by providing them food supplies in weekly basis. And normally the restriction takes around 14 weeks.
Okay. Actually, there is another question, but maybe it's better if you're the one who answered this, Prof. But Haikal Ahram, he asked about how do you conduct this research in the pandemic situation. But I thought this research is post-pandemic research. It is quite difficult to
Yeah.
get data and observe the cases and to gather all communities to get information. And in the end of the research,
Yes.
do you resolve guidelines for low-cost housing areas or regulation for government?
Yes. Now, it is we had a very difficult time in gaining a support and response from the resident, especially during the COVID-19. So what we did to overcome these circumstances of difficulty is what we did was we contacted and met the resident representative first, and through the resident representative, uh, they spread the information about us. After that, we felt the responses are getting better. Before that, we conducted the survey online. However, since they don't recognize us, even though we had already introduced ourselves. Okay. But the response from the resident is quite low. But after that, we managed to keep in touch with the resident representative, and since that, the situation is getting better. And Alhamdulillah, start from this week, we can conduct the research full blast, not uh, not only through online, but we had already get the permission from the from our host or the funder to conduct it 100% face to face.
Okay. To Mr. Budi Arlius Putra. Mr. Budi, you said you have a question for Dr. Zalina, please.
Okay. Can you hear me, Dr. Zalina?
Mr. Budi?
Yeah. Hello?
No, not yet.
Hello?
Okay, there is another
Yeah,
question.
we cannot hear you.
Yeah,
We cannot hear your voice.
Hello?
Mr. Budi?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Mr. Budi, we still can hear you. Okay, maybe we should continue to another question first while Mr. Budi is still trying to fix the microphone. This is from Mr. Jimmy from Kota Kediri. what the government do at the low-cost housing related to COVID-19, because the place is the most vulnerable, and you said that there is no big differences of social living before and post-pandemic.
I think I've already answered this type of question earlier, where the state government is always make sure and work hand in hand with the Ministry of Health in disseminating the current situation, okay, as well as lending their hand in terms of many types of assistance, which include food, medicinal needs, and so on.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Zalina. Is there any more question from the participants? Due to the limited time, maybe if you have more question, you can send it to our email address, or we also have a WhatsApp group. So if you have any question, you can post it in the group, and then I will send it to Dr. Zalina.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
So, Dr. Zalina, is there any more you wanna tell to the participant, maybe for like a closing statement?
Mm, I hope the findings shared today can benefit all of you, especially for the student and for the lecturers. I welcome for more similar research, uh, perhaps for us to collaborate later on, since we had already got this opportunity to work together this time. Mm, you are all most welcome. And thank you to the organizer as well, and for allowing me to share some of my research findings this time around.
Okay. So, before I close the webinar, I would like to take the conclusion from the speakers have presented. So I think the research by Dr. Zalina is especially in Malaysia, but I think for the condition for COVID-19 is very much different in each in it very much different in different area, especially in different countries. For example, maybe in India they have a different situation, and also in Indonesia we have very much different situation from Malaysia, because until now we're still dealing with the pandemic situation. So I hope this webinar today will be very beneficial for everybody. Thank you for the speakers for the informative and interesting presentation, and for all the participants for very active participations. That's from me. Maybe I will give the time back to Anna, to see Anna.
Oh, Hani,
Yes, yes,
perhaps I would
yes,
like to make one clarification.
yeah.
Clarification here. For your information, maybe some of you might be wondering, how does the social interaction can occur like a day before the pandemic. But as I mentioned, due to the monitoring system and the um, education as well as awareness campaign on the need for us to keep our our environment clean. Okay, we continuously reminded by 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 for the case of low cost housing area, they will keep on reminded by the representative of the resident to always adhere to the SOP. Okay, for example, the most important thing is to exercise the social distancing. Even though they still communicate each other, but um, uh, they keep themselves apart from their neighbor at least 2 meters. So I think that's why that is among one of the biggest factor that keep them safe until today, Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Zalina. Thank you very much for sharing us a very useful and very informative closing statement. Can I give the given back to Gusti Ana?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks to Associate Professor Dr. Nurjalin Harun for the information and knowledge which have been given to us. May it be useful for us. Before closing, now we have some quiz from Professor Ismail Said. For Professor Ismail Said, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Assalamualaikum to the Dekan of Dr. Dekan Asadi Ibrahim. Thank you for giving my research group the opportunity to share our knowledge with students of University Muhammadiyah Majam Rasin and with other participants that come across throughout the archipelago of Indonesia. Yesterday we had another session for which that a student of mine, 5 of them present their research, their studio urban design to the students of University Muhammadiyah. In parallel, there are other 2 groups presenting their work to Universitas Asha in Jogja and Universitas Tridhanti Palembang. So we had a warm experience yesterday.